Choice becomes action in milliseconds. Viper had set the charges to destroy everyone who knew about the code, including herself. Jensen's intervention created something worse: partial destruction. Survival without resolution. The code wasn't just a weapon. It was alive now. Adaptive. The demonstration had evolved into deployment. With the auction site in chaos and the fail-safe protocols interrupted, the attack on Tokyo's financial infrastructure continued without human guidance. When systems designed to contain catastrophe fail, survival becomes improvisation. Priorities shift in crisis. Former enemies become necessary allies. The auction's destruction had eliminated most of the potential buyers, but the weapon itself was now fully deployed. A digital wildfire spreading through Tokyo's financial networks and beyond. Colonel Tanaka had been tracking the situation since Zurich. Japanese intelligence had their own interest in the Istanbul Code. Not acquisition, but containment. The nightmare scenario was unfolding. Autonomous deployment without human control. In the chaos of the explosion, something had been revealed. The auction wasn't selling the weapon itself, just a blueprint. The real code, the original, remained elsewhere. The attack on Tokyo was coming from another source entirely. Dawn in Tokyo. The overnight markets in freefall. 16 trillion yen in value erased in hours. But money was just numbers. The real damage was to trust. Financial systems function on the belief that the numbers are real, immutable. That belief was now shattered. What began in Istanbul had become a global pandemic. Digital contagion spreading through financial networks faster than human operators could respond. The question wasn't whether it could be contained, but whether anything would remain untouched. Trust is negotiable in crisis. Viper's knowledge of the code was now essential to containing it. The woman who had tried to destroy everyone connected to the weapon was now their best hope of survival. The Istanbul Code had begun as a monitoring system, designed to track financial terrorism by creating a skeleton key to global banking networks. A collaboration between intelligence agencies that was never meant to become a weapon. The revelation was devastating in its simplicity. Viper hadn't just come to destroy the auction. She had come to prevent the deployment of a weapon she had helped create. A weapon that had been stolen by someone who understood its capabilities intimately. The signature was unmistakable. Ibrahim Nazari's digital fingerprint, embedded in the very foundation of the attack. The revelation settled over the room like a physical weight. Some names change everything. Ibrahim Nazari, the third architect of the original monitoring system, believed dead in Istanbul when the code was stolen, now revealed as the thief of his own creation, enhanced, weaponized, and deployed against the very systems it was designed to protect. Financial panics have their own choreography. First, disbelief, then verification, then the rush to convert digital wealth to something tangible before it vanishes completely. Tokyo was entering the third phase. The past reveals itself in fragments, usually at the worst possible moment. Jensen and Viper had been more than colleagues in the program that created the Istanbul Code. They had been protégés of Ibrahim Nazari, the visionary who saw how financial networks could be monitored and, if necessary, controlled. Trust collapses faster than it builds. Three architects of a system designed to protect the world's financial architecture. Now one was using it to destroy. One was trying to contain the damage. And Jensen was caught between, uncertain which version of the truth to believe. Containment was no longer possible. The Istanbul Code had metastasized beyond Tokyo, infecting systems across Asia and beginning to appear in European financial networks. The only option now was finding the source, the point from which Ibrahim was controlling the deployment. The attack wasn't just financial terrorism. It was too precise, too selective in its targets. Certain institutions were being deliberately spared, while others were being systematically compromised. Ibrahim wasn't destroying the system. He was redesigning it. Algorithms carry the fingerprints of their creators. In the Istanbul Code's deployment pattern, Viper recognized something that went beyond technical signature. A message meant specifically for those who knew Ibrahim best. A taunt. An invitation. What if the attack on the global financial system wasn't the end goal? What if it was simply a way to force specific players into the open? To ensure that those who understood the code would be gathered in one place, forced to respond. History collects in the spaces between people who once trusted each other completely. Jensen and Viper had been more than colleagues in the program that created the Istanbul Code. The betrayal that separated them wasn't what either believed it to be. Ibrahim Nazari had recruited them both, recognized their complementary talents. Jensen's strategic vision, Viper's technical brilliance. Under his mentorship, they had created something revolutionary. A monitoring system that could track financial terrorism across borders, institutions, currencies. The official story was that Ibrahim died trying to protect the code when it was stolen in Istanbul. The truth, gradually revealed through the pattern of the current attack, was more complex. He hadn't died defending his creation. He had disappeared with it, believing his protege had betrayed its purpose. The unspoken truth hung between them. Ibrahim believed they had corrupted his vision, twisted his creation into something he never intended. And perhaps the most painful realization was acknowledging that in some ways, he might have been right. The pattern in the code's deployment had revealed more than a signature. It had provided coordinates. A container ship recently arrived from Istanbul, registered to a shell company that Viper recognized as Ibrahim's creation. The circle was closing. What do you hide inside something designed to disappear into global supply chains? The perfect mobile command center, one that could be positioned near any major financial hub, then relocated before it could be identified as the source of an attack. To understand your enemy completely is to recognize yourself in their methods. Ibrahim had taught them both, shaped their thinking. Now they would use that shared foundation to find their way back to him. Through the digital labyrinth he had created, the command center was a self-portrait of its creator. Precise, elegant, ruthlessly efficient. Ibrahim had always believed in minimalism, in doing the maximum damage with the minimum footprint. The digital equivalent of a perfect assassination. What do you do when you find exactly what you're looking for, and it's not enough? The mobile command center was real, but Ibrahim wasn't there. The attack was continuing on its programmed course, now autonomous. Human intervention no longer required. Some invitations can't be declined. Ibrahim hadn't just left a message. He had left a challenge. The next phase would take them back where everything began. Back to Istanbul, where the code had first been stolen, where Ibrahim had supposedly died, where the truth remained buried. The journey that began in Istanbul was returning to its source. The circle Ibrahim had drawn was nearly complete. What waited for them wasn't just a confrontation with their former mentor, but with the true purpose of what they had created together. Trust remains the most valuable currency in their world. Emre Yilmaz had been Ibrahim's